What's going on, everybody? This is SB3, and today I'm going to be going through my top 10 picks of the 2022 Supercross season for the 450SX class. This is going to be my picks, who I think is going to finish where, based off of what I've been reading and what I've been seeing in interviews and writing footage and stuff like that. So realistically, this top 10 could really flip flop with any of the guys that are inside of this top 10. I wouldn't be surprised if all 10 of these guys won a main event or were possibly in title contention at some point during the season. So I'm going to say this right off the bat. If you've got differences of who you think should be in the top 10 to yours, let me know down in the comments below. Let's have a conversation. Let's go through and see how close we get to the end of the season. I plan on doing a recap of this at the end of the season to compare my picks to where people actually finished, just to see where everybody was. Um, One big change that's been going on in this offseason that's I think is going to be a huge benefit as soon as they figure everything out is that the FIM is not the sanctioning body anymore. Anytime you heard Ralph Shaheen say Monster Energy Supercross and FIM World Championship, that's not going to happen this season. Ralph Shaheen's not there, but that's the the point is that they've gone to the AMA Supercross Championship. The FIM has announced that they're going to be doing a World Supercross Championship, and I'm pretty curious to see how that's going to work. So I guess we'll see. I have an idea that it's probably going to be similar to like what they do with the Australian Supercross. They'll probably throw some. I imagine it's going to follow some way in the way the MXGP series does. I don't know if they're going to adjust the season for MXGP to kind of coincide with the World Supercross Championship, so that way that there's not any if Hurlings wants to do World Supercross, he doesn't have to choose between missing around because there's an MXGP going on. So I'm curious to see how they go through and they do it to really kind of compete, I guess, now with the Supercross Championship. This is still going to be considered the premier Supercross Championship, um, but I'm excited to see Supercross getting a little bit more of the global attention, and I think this is going to do nothing but good things for the sport. At the bare minimum, we get to see some more Supercross around the world. So that's my thoughts on it. But in this, I'm just going to be going through, like I said, breaking down the top 10 of who I think is going to finish where. And like I said, realistically, this could very easily be switched between anybody in the top 10, realistically. But first, we're going to be going through the 2022 schedule. And for the first time in the last couple of years, we're going back to a sense of normalcy. There's no residencies as of right now. I pulled this schedule up last week. So as it sits right now, everything seems to be a little bit more normal, which is good. It's good to see everything going back to a sense of normalcy. The only real break I think we're really seeing, I don't really see anything that's too big, minus maybe the rounds 12 to 13. Daytona's round 5 or round 9, starting up at the first week of January or the first Saturday in January, and then we're ending it at the first Saturday in May. Um, I haven't seen the motocross schedule yet. I know it's out. I know it's been published, but I'm pretty sure everything's going back to normal, or as normal as it can be. I think fan restrictions are being lifted. So, I mean, as far as I can tell from everything that I've seen so far, we're going back to normal. And I think that's really good for Supercross, because the residencies were great, and I'm glad that they were able to get a full season out. Um, but this is definitely going to be a lot better. And I think it's going to be better in the long run, too, because it's getting everybody back to where we were. Um, I have seen some complaints about, how many rounds that there are in California, but if you take it into consideration that this is normal, I mean, we got a couple of years where things were abnormal and we had not as many tracks or not as many races in California because California was one of the more restricted states. And now that everything's kind of opening back up, we're starting to see them going back into California, and I've seen a lot of people getting upset when this is really just how it was before, but we got a couple years where things were a little crazy. And now that it's going back to normal, people are freaking out. But yeah, this is the 2022 schedule. I imagine with the surge in Omicron, we might see some changes to this if states and cities and stadiums start to go back into some kind of a restricted state. But as it sits right now, this schedule is still current. All right, so like I said, I'm going to go through and I'm going to break down my 450 SX top 10 for the 2022 season. And this is the order that I have them finishing in personally. And like I said before, this could very easily change into anybody. And I think I've got a couple of picks in here that are going to have people very, very confused and very, I mean, if it's your favorite rider, you're going to be pissed off. But yeah, let's get straight into it. The first one's going to be 10th place. I've got Ken Roczen, HRC Honda, and a lot of people are going to be wondering this, like, why is he so far down on my list? Because he can't get a championship done. And yes, he's going to be in title contention for a fair amount of the season, but I think with the speed that we've got in the other riders, I think that this is going to just be a lot different. I think Ken's going to be strong off the beginning like he normally is, but I think his fall off is going to be a little bit greater than what it's been in previous years. He's another year older. He's in a contract season, so truthfully, I think he's going to retire at the end of Supercross. If I'm putting my money on it, I wouldn't be surprised if he went through and tried to get outdoors, maybe do 2023 to try to get that championship. But I think he's done after 2023 Supercross. Done. Um, Ken Roczen doesn't appear to be a guy that's going to be okay with getting rolling around and not being in title contention. So I don't see him being around very much longer after he's not really considered a championship threat. Um, Now, like I said, this could very well he could win the championship. He's got the speed, he's got the experience to go through and pull a championship. But I think with people like Webb and Tomac out on the track, I think it's going to be harder for him to get it locked down. And I think with Plessinger having a good season last season, I think that it's just going to be harder for Ken to once he starts having these health issues, and I do think he's going to have them as we get later on in the season, as it starts getting warmer out. I think we're going to see him start to regress like he has done in years past. And it's unfortunate and it sucks because Ken Roczen, he's one of the best personalities out on the track, but he can't close out a championship, and it sucks because I would love to see it. Ken Roczen's not personally my favorite rider, but I would love to see him lock down a championship because coming back from what he's come back from and being able to come through and win a championship after all the adversity that he's gone through would be huge. But that being said, I don't think he's going to get it done, and I think with the talent that's out on the track this year, it's going to be that much harder for him to be competitive. And that's why I've got him back in 10th place. So moving on to ninth, I've got Justin Barcia on that Troy Lee Designs Red Bull gas machine. I think he's going to win Anaheim this year. Calling it. I think he's gonna win his fourth Anaheim, or first race in a row. Um, and I think we're going to see more of the same from Bam Bam. I think he's going to be consistent. I think he's going to be, you know, he's going to finish consistently wherever he's at. I think he's going to come out and win Anaheim because he comes out and he does really well the first couple of rounds. I think he holds the red plate for round two. I think he comes in with that red plate, and I think he loses it. And then I think from there we just see him kind of fall back into his pace. He did sign a new contract with Red Bull Gas for the 2023 season. I think that's his last contract. I think after the 2023 season is done, I think he's done. I think he retires or he goes into some type of a coaching role. I don't see him going much further on because Gas is going to have people that could move up. They're going to probably want to get some higher level talent in there. Not saying that Justin Barcia is not top level talent, but whenever you take into consideration that he's getting up there in age, he signed a 1-year contract extension, and maybe there's an option for a second year in there. I don't know. But I think this season we're going to see a lot of the same from what we've seen from Justin Barcia. First half of the season he's going to be good. Second half of the season he's going to be, not as good. Um, I think he'll have flashes of speed. I think he'll win heat races. I don't think he'll end up in LCQs or anything like that. I don't think he's that far regressed, but I think it'll be a little bit more. Again, same thing with Ken Roczen. I think with all the talent that's come up through the field, it's going to be harder for Justin to continue to fight for the top step of the podium. All right, 8th place. I got Marvin Musquin on the number 25 Red Bull KTM. Got to say, I'm not a big fan of the new look for the 2022 Red Bull KTM. Not a big fan of it. I don't mind the orange seat, but it just looks weird. I don't know. Not a big fan of it. Um, I think Marvin's going to be consistent. I think he's going to get a race win or maybe two, but I don't think he's going to be when he's not winning. I don't think he's going to be out. He's going to be around the top 5, top 10. He's doing a Supercross only deal. I don't know if that was him suggesting it or if that was Red Bull saying, "Hey, this is we're done." But he's doing Supercross only. I think at the end of Supercross this season, we see him retire. Um, Either that or we see him come back for 2023, announcing he's retiring at the end of that season and doing another Supercross only deal. But I think it's going to be harder. If AP has a good season, I don't think they're going to re-sign Marvin. He's been a lifer KTM rider, so I think if it comes to it and Marv doesn't come up, if he finishes in 8th place, I think he's done. I think he's going to, bow out gracefully. He's been an awesome competitor, but I think if he doesn't climb higher in the rankings, if he finishes 8th place, I think his career's done. I think he's going to retire. He's going to bow out and move into a role with KTM. Um, I think he would be a good fit for an ambassador for the role. Yep. And I mean, that's really where I've got Marvin for this year. I don't think he gets a race win this year. I wouldn't be surprised if he did, but I think he's got to have some of the cards fall the right way. A couple people go down, maybe a couple injuries, for him to really be considered like a win threat. That being said, I wouldn't be surprised if he did win. All right, moving on to 7th place. We got the number 21 of Jason Anderson. He's going to be in his first year. This is the reason I've got him so low on the list this year is it's his first season on this Kawasaki, and I think, and I could say this with every rider that I've got in their position. I could see him being much higher. I could also see him falling lower on the list. I could see him outside the top 10. I mean, I don't know. Jason Anderson, I think this move's going to be good for him. I think it's going to be a positive change in his career. I think it's going to revitalize him a little bit. But I don't think it's going to be drastic changes. I don't see him coming out and winning the championship. I see him coming out. I think he's going to get a race win this year at some point. I wouldn't be surprised. If I had to guess, it would probably be later on in the season once he gets a little bit more comfortable on the bike in a race situation. I think he's going to come out outdoors and be a little bit stronger than what he's been in years previous. I wouldn't be surprised if he got his first overall win in 2022 on a Monster Energy Kawasaki. Jason Anderson, I don't know how long his contract was, but I know that if it's 2 years, again, I think this is going to be similar to some of the other guys. I think this is his last major contract. I don't think he's going to change teams again, but I could see, Kawasaki, if he comes out, if he's able to get 4th or 5th place on the championship, I could see them re-signing him for another year, 2 years, whatever he thinks is necessary to keep him on the program. But I don't see a whole lot of change coming from Jason. I think it's going to be some flashes of speed. He's going to be up there, and then he'll fall back to 5th or 6th place, and then he'll have a race or two where he's on the podium. 6th place, I got his teammate, Adam Cianciarulo. I think AC wins races this season. I think he comes out and he is a legitimate title threat. I think he gets hurt. I think he has a get off in the whoops and he misses a round or two, which drops him out of the championship hunt. And then he has a solid end of the season and he finishes 6th. I got a really easy. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if AC was able to come out and be a title contender until the end of the season. But I think based off his years previous, just his trend and how he does in Supercross, he's going to have these great flashes of speed and he's going to look like he's going to win and then he's going to throw something away on his own. I really hope I'm wrong with that because I want to see AC up there winning, winning races, winning championships, but I just don't see it happening. At least not right now. I think he's got to get a solid full season under his belt. If he can get top 5, top 4, top 3 in Supercross this season, I think he comes out next year and wins the title. But he's got to have a solid season under his belt. He's got to finish this season without getting hurt. I think with his arm issues, I think it was his ulnar nerve. I think with that surgery, if it actually fixed the problem, I think we're going to see AC get a win, maybe 2, maybe 3. I don't know. I don't think he's going to win the title. I think he's going to have a get off probably in the whoops, and it's going to knock him out for a race or two, and then we're going to see him come back and have a solid finish to the season, and then it's going to be 6th place. All right, we're moving to the top 5. And I think this is going to be a little bit of a controversial pick, but I think this move for AP is going to be a good move. Moving from the Star Racing Yamaha to the Red Bull KTM is going to be, I mean, the last guy that did it was Cooper Webb, and he came out and won a title in his first year on the Red Bull KTM. So I don't think we see that big of a change from AP, but I mean, I'd like to see it. I think it'd be cool to see him come out and just dominate and win a championship. Give that number 7 some pride. It hasn't number 7 hasn't had the best of starts of his 450 career. His first couple seasons just were not that great. Last year was okay. I think he actually finished 5th place in Supercross this last season, if I do remember correctly. So I think he's going to have a couple. I don't think he's going to get a win this season. I think he's going to get a couple podiums. I think he's going to build a solid base for next year, and then he's going to really be considered a title threat next season. Um, but I do see a lot of improvement consistency wise. I think he gets several podiums. I think he wins a bunch of heat races. I think he's going to get up there and maybe even be a top qualifier at one point, maybe a couple rounds. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if AP got a one, got a win. Um, but I just don't think it's going to happen this year. Next year, I think we're going to see a completely different AP. They're on a new bike, so it's not going to really affect Coop or APs. I think it's going to affect like Cooper and Marvin. I think they're going to have a little bit rougher of a time. AP's coming on a brand new bike, brand new. I mean, it's his first year with the bike, so I don't think he's not going to have a base to go off of from last year for a KTM. So I think he's going to have a little bit easier of a time adjusting than what say like Marvin would. But yeah, I mean, I don't see a win. I see a couple podiums. I wouldn't be surprised if he got a win, but I don't see it happening this year. All right, 4th place. Got the defending motocross champion, Dylan Ferrandis, on that number 14 Star Racing Yamaha. Um, I don't really know what to say about Dylan. I mean, he's going to come out. He's going to be fast. He could be a title contender. Absolutely. I fully believe he could. Um, I think he's still got a little bit of prowess to figure out on that 450 and Supercross. I think he's going to get podiums. I think he's going to have a win or two. I think he's going to make a mistake, or he's going to have issues with his starts where he's going to have troubles coming through the pack, getting around the other 9 guys that are going to be fighting for that top 10 position. Um, would I be surprised if he came out and won a race, was a title contender until the very end? No, not really, because he kind of shocked a lot of people last year with his motocross championship, and I don't think he's not a dumb rider. He's coming into season, his second season in Supercross, but he's not a spring chicken. He's not young. He's around 27 or 28, I believe. So I mean, he's not a young rookie that's coming in and going to make a lot of stupid mistakes. But I think he still has to learn that 450 a little bit more. He was able to come out and win a motocross championship, but he came over from the GPs. So to me, him winning a motocross championship wasn't that far of a stretch. As maybe what, if he would have came out and won a Supercross championship, that would have blown my mind. If he would have won that in the Supercross championship in his rookie season, I would have been blown away. Um, he's good in Supercross, but I think there's just a little bit more of a learning curve, especially with the top talent that we have in the field. So that's why I've got him at 4th place next year. Look out, I think he's a title contender. 3rd place, got the number 1, Cooper Webb. I don't think he defends his title this year. Part of the reason is because of that new bike. He's left Alden Baker, and in the years previous, people that have left Alden Baker have not had a championship season. Do I think he can win a championship without Alden? Yeah, but I don't think it's going to be this year. I see Coop maybe winning one more title before he hangs up the boots, but I don't think he's going to defend the title this year. They're on a new bike. He's working with Michael Byrne, which I think it's going to help with his whoop speed, and I think that's going to be a good and a bad thing. I think he's put so much focus in the whoops that we could probably see some regression in other areas, that maybe he doesn't have the stamina at the end of the race, or he doesn't have as good of starts. I don't know. I don't know exactly where there's gonna be a missing piece, but I have a feeling that there's going to be a missing piece, and I think it's going to be hard for Coop to defend the title with people coming in healthy. Maybe some rejuvenated fire. I don't know. Coops, would I be surprised if he comes out and wins the championship? Absolutely not. I would look really dumb because I have him in 3rd place, but I wouldn't be surprised. Coops, he's a gamer. He always has been. And he wins titles whenever he feels like he's got his back against the wall. And I could see him leaving Alden Baker as him putting himself against the wall. But I don't know. I got a feeling he's not going to defend the title. I don't think he's going to get injured. I just don't think he's got the raw speed to consistently fight up for the win. And I think it's going to be very, very heavy on who wins the championship by who can get the most race wins. Normally it's a game of consistency, but I think we're going to see a lot more different we're going to see a lot more difference in race winners this season than I think we've seen in previous years. And I think that's going to lead to whoever can get the most wins is going to win the championship. And I mean, that's how it usually falls out, but I think it's more important, more so than ever, with this season. All right, moving on to second place. I've got Chase Sexton. I think this is a controversial pick, personally. Um, but I think he's going to come out. I've listened to him on some podcasts. I've seen him doing some of it, this, I mean, it's raw prep. So, I mean, take for what you will. But I think he comes out and he is a force to be reckoned with this year. And I was thinking that last season, he's going to be really hard to, if he can keep his bike on two wheels and he can finish the full season, I think he's going to win. He's going to win races. He's going to win championships. Maybe not this year, but next year for sure. Especially if we see some of the big names walk away from the sport and retire. That opens it up a lot for Chase Sexton. Same thing with AC. I think with them not having a new bike like they did last year, I think we're going to see a lot more aggression out of it. Chase Sexton. I think we're going to see him up front more. I mean, he almost won Houston last. What was it? Houston? No. Where was it? Yeah, it was Houston. Whenever he had his get off through the sand, and AC had a crash there as well. Eli Tomac, I don't think he was the fastest rider. He was the smartest that night, and I think we would have seen Chase Sexton get his first race win if that wouldn't have happened. Which, I mean, coulda, woulda, shoulda, but I think Chase has learned from that. I think he's gonna take a really big step in the right direction. I think he's gonna get multiple race wins. I think he's going to get some podiums. I think where he's going to fall a little bit shorter is he's going to have a little bit of inconsistency that he still has to figure out. But that's why I've got him at second. Again, I think this is a controversial pick. And again, I can see any of these top 10 really interchanging with whoever's where. I could see, Chase Sexton getting 10th place, Kenny getting second. If Kenny keeps with his normal recipe, I don't think he's going to win a title, but I could see him being a lot higher up in the order than where I've got him. All right, and then this last one, it was the same pick as I had for last year, but I think Tomac's got a fire lit under his butt, and I think he's going to come out and he's got something to prove again. He's on a new team. Everybody says that they go faster, but I think that Tomac is going to come out. He's got a new fire under his belly, and he's just going to come out and he's going to race to win the championship. I know he signed a 1-year agreement with Star Racing Yamaha, and I know that they've got the option for the second year. I think he's done after this season, personally. If he wins the championship, I could see him coming back to defend it, but I could also see him come out and say, hey, I won the title. I'm still a badass. I'm done. What a way for him to come back, go out on a new team, and win a championship. I know he has that option for a second year if he decides to do it. I don't know what the terms and conditions are for that, if it's more on his side, if he decides he wants to do a renewal, or if he wants to, if he has to hit a certain mark with with Star Racing for them to offer him a second year. I think if he doesn't win this title, I think he's done. I don't think Tomac's going to go out there and roll around in 10th place. But I mean, I could be wrong. I think he's already stated that his move isn't, it's not monetary. He didn't move for more money. He moved because he thinks he can do better on this bike. And for me, that's huge because, Tomac is getting a little bit older in the grand scheme of things. In Supercross, he's, I think, 28 or 29. So that's old in Supercross. In Supercross, that's, you're at the tail end of your career unless you're Justin Brayton or Chad Reed. Most people have already retired by the time they win their championships. By the time they're 29, 30 years old, they're gone. And I think Tomac's got this, I think he's got a fire. And I've said that before, but I think he's got this fire lit under him that he got spanked last year. He did. And that's kind of weird considering he still did as well as he did, but he didn't win the title. Last year, I really thought he was going to come out and just dominate because he had gotten that monkey off his back. He had a kid. Yeah, sure. Okay, that leads to maybe some restless nights, but generally, I thought with him not having the pressure of not having won that Supercross championship, I thought that having that pressure relieved was going to have him just go out there and dominate. And I was wrong. And he got spanked. And I say that, and I don't take any any respect from Tomac because he's a gnarly dude. But he came out, and I think there was some issues going on with Kawasaki where maybe he wasn't getting some of the changes that he wanted to have implemented. I don't know. But he seems like he can get more control over the bike and things that he wants to have done to the bike, which from what I understand, Kawasaki was a little bit more limited on it. Now, if he has more control over what he can do to the bike, I can see that being an issue because it can open up a can of worms that maybe he can't figure out. Or it can find some new answers that maybe leads him to a championship. I don't know. But I can definitely see it going either way. He's either going to come out and he's going to win the championship and it's not going to really be that much of a contest, or it's going to be a lot like last season, and I think we're going to see Tomac retire at the end of the year. If he wins the title, I think he's going to defend it. If he doesn't, I think he retires. I think that's why they have that 1-year option, or the 1-year contract with a second-year option. I think that's really based off of him and whether or not he wins the title. If he wins the title, he comes back. If he doesn't, he's going to bow out. As a legend of the sport, I think I, I think he wants to beat Ricky at Daytona. He wants to beat Ricky's number. He wants to be the all-time winner at Daytona. So I think there's a couple of factors. I think if he doesn't win the title and he kind of rolls around, I think he comes out swinging at Daytona, beats. If he wins at Daytona and he doesn't win the title, I think he's done. So it just kind of depends. I think Tomac's going to be the biggest question mark of the season. I think a lot of the other pieces are going to fall because if he doesn't get first, I think it's going to be a crapshoot of who wins this title. I think if Cooper Webb can figure it out and he can be as solid in the whoops as Michael Byrne has made a lot of people, I think he's going to be up there in the mix. Chase Sexton, if he can keep himself off the ground, I think he can win. Really, any of these top 10 have a potential shot at winning this championship if things fall a certain way. Same thing with Ken Roczen. I mean, I've got him in 10th place this year. I'm going to get chastised for it. I know I am. But I just don't see him. If everybody else can stay healthy, I don't see him, especially at the end of the season, I don't see him pulling it through to win the championship. And I could be completely wrong. That's what I love about this sport and the field being so stacked the way that it is. Tomac could get 10th place and Kenny could win the championship. Sexton could get 9th and Cianciarulo could get first. I mean, there's so much parity going into this season, and I think we'll know by rounds 5 or 6 who the real key players in the championship are. But you guys have seen this. I'm not going to change anything. I'm going to leave this alone until the end of the season, and then I'm going to go through. I'm going to do it as, hey, this was my top 10. Here's the actual top 10. But that's all I got for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys want to put your top 10 down in the comments below, let me know. We can have a conversation about it. Thank you all so much. Have a Merry Christmas, and I will see you in the next one.